Hi everyone, welcome to another Puzzle lesson. Today you'll be learning how to divide polynomials using long division. So here's the focused learning target. Given polynomial expressions, I will be able to find the quotient by the method of long division. So far we've learned how to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. So guess what comes next? Dividing polynomials. So first, let's go over the standard form of polynomials. So if a polynomial is written in standard form, this means that the terms are written from highest to lowest degree. So they're written in order from the term with the highest degree, so the highest exponent, the largest exponent, and then written in order down to the term with the smallest exponent. So in general, before we start with any problem, we want to make sure that the polynomial is written in standard form. So let's take a look at an example. So it asks us to rewrite the following in standard form. So we have 3x squared plus 5x cubed minus 4x to the 6th power plus 8x to the 5th power plus 3. So we think about which term has the highest degree, and we notice that this term, the negative 4x to the power of 6, has the highest degree. So we're going to write this first, and then I'm going to go in order from here. So I notice that 8x to the power of 5 would come up next, since we're going from the highest to lowest degree. And then this 5x cubed, and then plus 3x squared. So remember, we're going from highest degree to lowest degree. And lastly, we have the constant term, plus 3. So it's still the same thing. We just rewrote this polynomial expression into standard form. So notice here that now the exponents, so the degrees, are going in order from the highest degree to the lowest degree. So on Edpuzzle, please go ahead and rewrite the following polynomial expression in standard form. And then next, let's go over a law of exponents. I know there's a lot of rules that you've probably learned in the past, but right now we're just going to focus on one of them. So let's say I have x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 4. So if I expand this, I'll have x times x times x 3 times, and then times x times x times x times x 4 times. So in total, I have x to the power of 7. So what we notice here is that x to the power of 3 times x to the power of 4 is actually the same thing as x to the power of 3 plus 4, which then equals x to the power of 7. So this is just a quick review of an exponent rule that you've probably seen before. So if you have a to the power of m times a to the power of n, that's the same thing as a to the power of m plus n. So when you're multiplying two exponents together with the same base, you keep the base and add the powers together. So that was just a quick review. Now let's move on to how to divide polynomials using the method of long division. So suppose we had something, so a over b, or a divided by b, same thing. So this a is called the dividend. It's also the numerator. They're synonyms of each other. And the b is called the divisor, or the denominator. So we have a as the dividend and b as the divisor. And to find the quotient, you've probably seen this somewhere along your math life, we can rewrite this with this thing right here, where the a, so the dividend goes on the inside, and b, the divisor, goes on the outside. So let's say we have 7 divided by 3. So in this case, we can rewrite this to find the quotient. So the dividend 7 goes on the inside, and the divisor 3 goes on the outside. And then I think, how many 3's do I need to get somewhere close to 7, but under 7? And I'm like, oh, 2. Next, I do 2 times 3, and that equals 6. And then I do 7 minus 6 is 1. So as my final answer, I get that the quotient is 2 with a remainder of 1, or I can also rewrite this as 2 and 1/3, or 2 plus 1/3. So I know I'm kind of going through this part pretty quickly, but hopefully it's a good memory refresher from back in your elementary or middle school days. So what if I had 70 over 3? My dividend is 70 and my divisor is 3. So again, I think 3 times what is pretty close to 7, and I realize it's 2. So let me write that up here. 2 times 3 equals 6, and then 7 minus 6 is 1. And then remember this trick of pulling the 0 down, and then so I'm left with 10. And so my next question is, 3 times what would equal something close to 10? So I'm going to put 3 up here. 3 times 3 is 9, and 10 minus 9 is 1. So I get that my quotient is 23 with a remainder of 1, or 23 and 1/3. So dividing polynomials is going to be very similar using this method of long division, and the general form of answers is going to look like this, where you have the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor. So you're going to have the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor. This is going to be the general form of your answers. So let's go over our first example. Suppose we have 3x cubed plus 5x squared plus 8x plus 7 divided by 3x plus 2. Before we do anything, we want to make sure the polynomials are written in standard form. So notice that we go from the highest degree to the lowest degree, so we know that the polynomial expression is written in standard form. And then next, let's set up what it looks like as long division. So the dividend goes on the inside and the divisor goes on the outside. And remember, you can pause anytime you'd like so that you can process the information better. Right, so I'm going to focus on the first terms of both the divisor and the dividend. So in this case, the 3x and the 3x cubed. And next, I ask myself, 3x times what would equal 3x cubed? What would go in the blank for this equation to work out? I noticed that x squared would go in the blank because 3x times x squared is indeed 3x cubed. So I'm going to write the x squared over here. And notice that I'm writing it on top of the quadratic term because x squared is also quadratic. The trick to dividing polynomials using long division is to stay organized. You want to tidy it up and keep it clean. Next, I'm going to distribute the x squared to both 3x and plus 2. You don't actually have to write the arrows down, but I just wrote it so that you guys know where I'm distributing to. So x squared times 3x is 3x cubed, and then x squared plus 2 is 2x squared. Again, keep the terms aligned, keep them organized. Next, similar to when we're doing long division with numbers, we're going to subtract this part. So we're going to subtract both terms. But the easiest thing to do here is just to flip the signs. So instead of a positive 3x cubed, we have a negative 3x cubed. And instead of a positive 2x squared, we get a negative 2x squared. So this next part, it's similar to combining like terms. So the 3x cubed minus 3x cubed, that's actually going to cancel out. And then the 5x squared minus 2x squared, that equals 3x squared. And then, like the earlier example, the 8x is going to get pulled down. So always remember to pull down the upcoming term. Okay, next I focus again on the first terms. So still the 3x and also now the 3x squared. So 3x times what would equal 3x squared? Notice that if we fill in the blank with x, 3x times x equals 3x squared. So again, I'm going to write this linear term x above the linear term. So keep them aligned. And now I'm going to distribute this x to both the 3x and the positive 2. So x times 3x is 3x cubed, and x times 2 is 2x. Next, in order to subtract both terms, I'm going to flip the signs. So negative 3x squared minus 2x. Notice that this part cancels out. If it doesn't cancel out, check your work again. And then 8x minus 2x is 6x. And then remember to pull down the 7. So let's focus on the first terms again. So still the 3x. And now let's take a look at the 6x. So 3x times what would equal 6x? What goes in the blank? 2. So I'm going to write 2 up here. So plus 2 as a part of the quotient. Oh, let me erase these arrows from earlier. All right, now we're distributing the 2 to the 3x and the plus 2. So 2 times 3x is 6x, and 2 times 2 is positive 4. Again, remember to flip both signs. So the 6x minus 6x, those cancel, and 7 minus 4 is 3. So we were able to divide this polynomial. So this is how I would write out the answer. So this 3 at the bottom, this is our remainder. And then this thing up here, x squared plus x plus 2, this is our quotient. And the 3x plus 2 is our divisor. And remember, our general form is the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor. So in this case, it would be x squared plus x plus 2 plus 3 over 3x plus 2. Again, it's the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor as our final answer. At this point, what I would recommend you to do is pause the video once and go over the steps on your own in your head. So how did I end up with this final answer? By dividing using the method of long division. For our second example, we have 8x cubed minus 2x squared minus 17x plus 3 divided by 2x minus 3. So let's set up the general long division format again. So the dividend goes in the inside and the divisor on the outside. Again, for each step, we want to focus on the first terms. So in this case, let's focus on the 2x and the 8x cubed. So 2x times what would equal 8x cubed? It would be 4x squared, because 2x times 4x squared equals 8x cubed. So I'm going to write the 4x squared. Again, since it's a quadratic term, I'm going to align it with the quadratic term in the dividend. So I'm going to distribute this 4x squared to both 2x and negative 3. So 4x squared times 2x is 8x cubed, and 4x squared minus 3 is negative 12x squared. And in the next step, remember to switch signs for both terms. And let me also erase the arrows up here to declutter a little bit. Alright, so 8x cubed minus 8x cubed cancels out. Then negative 2x squared plus 12x squared is 10x squared. And then remember to pull down the negative 17x, so the upcoming term. And again, we focus on the first term, so 10x squared. So 2x times what would equal 10x squared? We get 5x. So let me write it up here, positive 5x. I'm going to distribute it to both the 2x and the negative 3. So I'm going to stop drawing the arrows now. So 5x times 2x is 10x squared. And then 5x times negative 3 is negative 15x. Now remember to switch the signs for both terms. So this cancels out. Negative 17x plus 15x is negative 2x. And then we bring down the plus 3. And let's take it one more step. So now we're taking a look at the negative 2x. So 2x times what would equal negative 2x? Just simply a negative 1. So let me write that up here. And I'm going to distribute it. Negative 1 times 2x is negative 2x. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. And now I'm going to switch the signs of both terms. And then notice that both parts actually just cancel out, so we're left with a remainder of 0. Basically, we have nothing left over. So in this case, again, there is no remainder. And then this at the top, the 4x squared plus 5x minus 1 is our quotient. And the 2x minus 3 is our divisor. So if we use the general form of answers, we would have 4x squared plus 5x minus 1 plus 0 over 2x minus 3. But since this is just 0, we technically don't have to write it. So our answer is simply 4x squared plus 5x minus 1. Please try this next example on Edpuzzle. Remember, it's not a race. Take your time and be careful on each step. Notice for this next example, it's written in standard form, but do you notice that we're missing something? So we're missing a linear term here, right here. So between the quadratic and the constant terms, we're missing a linear term. So whenever we have a missing term, we're going to use this thing called fillers. Right, so let's set up the long division. So we have 3x cubed plus x squared, so 1x squared, plus 0x, this is the filler, and then plus 5, all divided by x minus 1. So let's get started. We're going to focus on the first terms. So x times what would equal 3x cubed? Eventually, you won't have to write this part down. You'll be able to do it in your head. But just as reference, I'm writing it right now. Right, so x times 3x squared would equal 3x cubed. And remember, I want to line like terms up. So I'm going to write 3x squared right here because it's a quadratic term. I distribute 3x squared times x is 3x cubed, and 3x squared times negative 1 is negative 3x squared. And remember to flip signs for both terms. So this first part is going to simply cancel out. And then 1x squared plus 3x squared is 4x squared. Right? I'm going to pull down the 0x. Even if it's a filler, we still pull it down. Right, so x times what would equal 4x squared? What goes in the blank? 4x. So let me write that up here. I'm going to write it right above the filler term. All right, I'm going to distribute. So 4x times x is 4x squared. And then 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. Next, remember to switch signs for both terms. 4x squared and negative 4x squared cancel out. And 0x plus 4x is 4x. And remember to bring down the 5. Right? So focusing on the 4x. So x times what equals 4x? 4. X times 4 is 4x. So up here, I'm going to write plus 4 and then distribute. So I get 4x minus 4. And then what do I do next? I switch the signs of both terms. 4x and the negative 4x cancel out. 5 plus 4 is 9. And I can't go any further from here, so I know I'm done with the remainder of 9. So my final answer here is 3x squared plus 4x plus 4, and then the remainder, so plus 9 over x minus 1. So this problem was just a little different compared to the earlier examples because we had a missing term. And so whenever you see a missing term, or I guess whenever you don't see the term because it's missing, you would use fillers. So that's like the 0x we used up here. So for this next example, it's written in standard form. So the polynomial expressions are written in standard form. But do you notice that there is a missing quadratic term? So again, because there's a missing term, we'll be using fillers. So again, whenever there's a missing term, you need to use a filler. So I'm going to have x cubed plus 0x squared, this is the filler, then minus 8x minus 17. And we're going to divide that by x plus 1. Right, so focusing on the first terms, x times what would equal x cubed? So in the blank, we have x squared. Please make sure to keep it aligned. Right? And then next we distribute and get x cubed plus x squared, or 1x squared. And then you guys already know the drill. We're going to flip the signs of both terms right here. Right, so x cubed minus x cubed, that cancels out. And we are left with negative 1x squared. And then we pull down the negative 8x. Right, so next, x times what would equal negative 1x squared? So a negative x would work here, or negative 1x, whichever you feel more comfortable with. So I'm going to write it up here and then distribute. So I get negative 1x squared minus 1x. Remember to be especially careful when you're working with negatives. Alright, I'm going to switch the signs for both terms. Alright, this cancels out, and then negative 8x plus 1x is negative 7x, and then we pull down the minus 17. Alright, so let's see, x times what would equal negative 7x? Simply negative 7. So let me write negative 7 up here, and we distribute to get negative 7x minus 7. Again, we're going to flip signs for both terms. First part cancels out, and we're left with negative 17 plus 7, which equals negative 10, which is the remainder. Our final answer is x squared minus 1x minus 7. Technically, we don't need that 1 right there, so let me erase it. And then plus negative 10 over x plus 1. Again, before you start any problem that involves dividing polynomials, make sure everything is written in standard form. And if you notice any missing terms, you want to use fillers. Try this one on Edpuzzle, and also please remember to take stretch breaks whenever you need to. So what if you need to divide by a trinomial? Still generally the same steps, so let's set it up. So 2x to the power of 4 minus 1x cubed plus 0x squared. So notice I'm using fillers here. Plus 0x minus 2, all divided by this trinomial, 2x squared plus x plus 1. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker now, but remember you can pause whenever you need to. All right, so 2x squared times what would equal 2x to the power of 4. So I can fill in the blank with an x squared. Let me write that up here. So 1x squared, and then I distribute to each term. So notice that it's going to be a trinomial. I get 2x to the 4th power plus 1x cubed plus 1x squared. Now switch the signs for all 3 terms. This cancels out, and I'm left with negative 2x cubed minus 1x squared, and then I pull down the plus 0x. So even if it's a filler, remember to pull it down. Okay, so 2x squared times what would equal negative 2x cubed. And again, eventually you'll be doing this part in your head, but you can always write it on the side if it helps. Right, so I get negative 1x. Let me write that up here. And then I'm going to distribute it. Once I distribute, I get negative 2x cubed minus 1x squared minus 1x. And then I'm going to switch the sign of each term. The first part cancels out. Notice here, negative 1x squared plus 1x squared also cancels out. And I'm simply left with a positive 1x. And then I pull down the minus 2. So notice that I have to actually stop here because I can't go any further. Let's say I tried. So let's say I tried 2x squared plus something to equal 1x. This doesn't work. I can't go from a quadratic term to a linear term by multiplying. So I know I'm done right here. So my final answer is x squared minus x plus the remainder, so x minus 2 over the divisor, 2x squared plus x plus 1. So even if you're dividing by a trinomial, your general steps remain the same. Let's try one last example together. Oh my goodness, this is a very long polynomial, but it's okay, we got this, woo! So notice here that we now actually have a missing term in the divisor, so we'll be needing a filler. So I'm going to start by writing the divisor out because I don't know how much space I need. But remember to include the filler. So 4x squared plus 0x minus 3. Then again on the inside, we write the dividend. So sometimes you'll need a filler for the dividend, sometimes you'll need it for the divisor, sometimes you just won't need it. So make sure before you start any problem to check whether you need fillers or not. So let's take it step by step. So we focus on the first terms. So 4x squared times what would equal 8x to the 4th power? In this case, we would put down 2x squared. So remember to line up the terms, I'm going to write 2x squared right here. And then I distribute to get 8x to the power of 4. And make sure you distribute to the filler as well. So 2x squared times 0x is 0x cubed. And then 2x squared times negative 3 is negative 6x squared. Switch signs for all three terms. First part cancels out. I am left with negative 4x cubed minus 24x squared, and then I pull down the plus 9x. Okay, 4x squared times what equals negative 4x cubed? I get negative 1x, so I'm going to write that up here. I'm speeding through a little bit just so this video doesn't go on for an eternity. So when I distribute it, I get negative 4x cubed plus 0x squared plus 3x. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. And then switch signs of all three terms. And notice here this cancels out, so I'm left with negative 24x squared plus 6x, and then you want to pull down the plus 19. Sometimes I almost forget to do it too, but please remember this is an important step. Right? 4x squared times what would equal negative 24x squared? The answer is negative 6. So we're going to distribute this negative 6 to each term of the divisor. And so we get negative 24x squared plus 0x plus 18. Switch signs of each term. This cancels out. I am left with 6x plus 1. And I can't go any further from here. So let me write out the final answer. I have 2x squared minus x minus 6 plus the remainder 6x plus 1 over the divisor 4x squared minus 3. So even if you used a filler in the divisor, you don't have to include it when you write down the final answer. So here is your final example on Edpuzzle. Please make sure you use fillers and be careful on each step. Right, great job today. Today you learned how to find the quotient of two polynomial expressions by using long division. Please make sure to take a picture of your notes and submit it onto Canvas. See you guys next time.